And good morning, everybody. Welcome. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Good morning, Bruce. How are you?
Top of the morning. Well, how can I be anything but great, right? I mean, after last night, it was pure viewing pleasure watching this Game 5 unfold. Nuggets are in as good a position as they can be in right now, especially after playing, I think, Eric, about as well as they can play last night. Other than knocking down a couple more shots from Nikola Jokic, other than that, this was about as well as this team can play.
Well, if you're thinking about what to do for the games tomorrow, Avs play at 7:30. Nuggets play at 8 o'clock, which should be another fun night for anybody who covers these teams, trying to watch two games at one time. Head on over to the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. Outstanding menu. You can find them in the DTC. You can also find them at Highlands Ranch. You can start it off with maybe some cheese curds or Philly cheesesteak egg rolls, maybe like the Brussels sprouts. Then move on to the main course. How about some burgers? You got 12 choices. Outstanding wings as well. Always great drink specials. And it really is the place to watch sports in town. It is a sports bar owned by sports fans. And it's more than just, hockey and basketball and baseball. Well, do we play baseball in this town? And football. They also put a high premium on making sure you can see soccer matches all over the world, okay? Rugby, UFC. It's a great place to go. DTC, Highlands Ranch, and coming soon to Parker. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
I want to suggest that, where was that from Jamal Murray? Where did that came from? We've seen him have big games before.
Oh, yeah.
But in the playoffs, we haven't seen a game like this from him since the bubble against Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz. If he plays like this for at least one more game in this series, is this series over?
Well, yes. If he shoots at that kind of percentage, the key for the Nuggets last night, they shot 56%. They shot 52% from three-point range. They moved the ball. Everyone was involved. Nikola Jokic was more of a traffic cop than he was the guy having to carry the weight, which I think agreed with him. They were moderately better defensively, in particular Christian Braun, who is starting to take the reins away from James Harden in this series. Was in front of him all night long, and I think is just really matching him mano a mano. It's a great game within the game to watch. But Eric, the Nuggets just played flawlessly last night, and it started with Jamal Murray. So the answer to your question is, if he plays like that,
yeah,
and that's a big if, right? That's a big if. If he plays like that, then it's game over. I suspect that he won't play like that because the Clippers are going to make moves to neutralize him or at least to help with him a little bit. But there's an old adage in the game of basketball, and you and I have talked about this a lot. The game always looks better when the ball is going through the hoop, and the ball was going through the hoop last night.
I felt like I was watching Game 5 between the Stars and the Avalanche. We knew that the Stars were more than capable of winning Game 5, but it felt like they won in a dominating fashion. And that's how I felt when I was watching last night's game, where there is no such thing as puck luck in the NBA.
Right.
But, who would have thought Russell Westbrook, that every time he touched the ball, you felt it was going in? Same thing with Jamal Murray. Aaron Gordon's hitting threes at the end, not to say he can't, but it felt like everything was just going in. Really, except for Nikola Jokic.
Right. Absolutely. It was a fabulous game to watch. Consider that in the four previous games of this series, the Nuggets had averaged 99 points. This is a team that averaged over 120 points in the regular season. And that's the difference between postseason basketball, a lot of the times, to the regular season. Things are tightened up much more considerably. However, last night, they scored 131. There was only a couple of moments, I thought, late or in the fourth quarter when it got down to single digits where it was kind of like, oh, my God, here we go again. And I never even got to that point. But it was kind of like, oh, okay, we need to pay a little bit more attention here. And then, boom, to your point, they hit big shots when they needed to do it. But you score 131. It's pretty tough to lose when you can track meet a team like they did last night.
Here's a phrase that we have used a lot when it comes to Nuggets games. Numbers like 51-33. The Nuggets lost the 3-point battle 51-33. The other team scored 51 points shooting threes, and the other team scored 51 points shooting threes, and the Nuggets shot 33 points shooting threes. Last night, it was reversed.
Right.
To the new GM, get some 3-point shooters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And get some guys who can defend the three, right? Get some guys who can defend the three. That was, for as much as we want to single on individuals, because it was a complete effort by a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jamal's hitting threes. Hit, 7 or 8?
Yeah.
You have Russell hitting threes and Gordon hitting threes and Brown hitting threes. We know they have that capability, but not at that type of shooting percentage. And
this is a one-off. This is 5 games in, and we're talking about a totally unique result for the Nuggets, who did win like this a lot during the regular season. So it's a familiar look for a team that averages nearly 121 points. Now, they went 131 last night. They did it with high percentage, et cetera. They did it scoring in the paint in the first half, which I thought was interesting. But be that as it may, this is more than likely a one-off. And the way that they had won two previous games, obviously, have been grinds. And it's probably logical to assume that the way that this thing ends for the Nuggets, if it's going to be successful, is going to be how successful and effective they are grinding over the next 2 games. Hey, let's not forget, they were in this exact same situation a year ago. They won Game 5 at home against Minnesota, and then went and dropped a game by 100 in Minneapolis, came back and had the second half 20-point lead and ended up losing the series. There is precedent there, right? There is precedent there. And these are the types of things that I'm sure David Adelman will be paying very close attention to as they prep for Game 6.
do you put any weight onto what happened in the previous game where they did dominate pretty much in the second half in Game 4, where this was really a carryover and maybe this can continue?
No,
I know they blew a 22-point lead.
Well,
and sometimes when teams get up that big in the fourth quarter, you tend to, take the foot off the gas. They did wind up winning the game, but they have shown some consistency dating back to the previous game where they could just track meet the Clippers.
Yeah, I don't know how much confidence I would have in that. If they had just held them off, if they had only won by if they had won by 8, and I know it would have taken the dramatic close of Game 4 away, but you really want to be able to finish. Finishing a game is different than getting a great play at the end of the game to win a game, right?
Were you getting nervous? Were you getting nervous when the score started to get whittled down to high single digits?
I wasn't nervous, but there was a sense of deja vu. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
Right.
There was a sense of deja vu. Now, they didn't allow that to get too out of hand. They hit a couple of shots, boom, boom, scored 7 straight points after they had been run on back the other way, and settled things back down. But to your point, we've seen it before in this series, and I think that David Adelman, I think that will be a strong message to this team as they work through their film and try to put a game plan in place for Game 6. Hey, you don't. It's nice to be able to come home for a Game 7. Get your business done. You've got an opportunity now in Game 6. You've got an opportunity to get this thing finished, right? Get it done. You've already won there in this series. Finish it. Get it out of the way, because you've got yourself a load of trouble coming up in Oklahoma City. But that's a discussion for another day.
Do you think the Nuggets have the killer instinct to do this tomorrow night?
Yeah, I do. I don't know if it's all about killer instinct. I think it's about hitting shots. And
yeah, that's a fair point, because you can say a lot about killer instinct and how hard you're trying, how badly you want it. The Nuggets won this game because, they were hitting shots.
Yeah.
Specifically, they were hitting threes as much as anything else. You brought up Christian Brown, and it's not like I'm going to give you pushback on it. You said, wow, he was great last night. He's been great in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
But
he needs to continue to be great. He needs to continue to be good. Yeah.
But he has been, because he held Harden to 11, but in the last 4 games, Harden has been held to 16.
Right.
So he has shown, talking about Christian Brown,
right,
a track record of slowing this guy down. I don't know if he's grabbing onto his beard and tugging his face to the ground, or I don't know exactly what he's doing, but I think he is taking a step before our eyes on how, for lack of a better phrase, potentially elite of a defender he can be.
He's doing a really good job doing what he didn't do early in the series, which was especially in Game 1, which I get.
But that was the only game.
Yeah.
He has been 18 or below in the last 4 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been a big reason that they're in the situation that they're in right now, because he's found a way to play in front of James Harden. And he's also, by the way, very nicely and quietly put together 12 rebounds last night too. He was very valuable in that regard. They had 7 blocks. They had 7 steals. They were extremely active last night in just about every category. I think they ended up tying with them in terms of rebounds. Those numbers were skewed a little bit because of mop-up time at the end of the game. But right. It doesn't make any difference. I will repeat what I said at the beginning of the show. To me, and for me, as someone that watches the Nuggets a ton, I would say 70-some% of their games I have viewed, maybe not from start to finish, but a good portion of their games. This is about as well as they can play. And it's 131, Eric. It's 131. They average 120. They scored 131 in a series that they were averaging 99 points. They were plus 40 over their scoring or 32. They were up 32 over their scoring average in this series. And that's about as well as they can play.
One thing that is masked, it hasn't been unmasked in the last couple of games, but in this game it was. Russell Westbrook played 25 minutes. DeAndre Jordan played 10. Peyton Watson played 8. That is still not a lot of minutes for the bench. I'm not complaining about it. Russell Westbrook scored 21 points.
Right.
3 3-pointers, 8 of 15 shooting from the floor. But outside of Westbrook, non-garbage time minutes, the Nuggets bench scored 2 points.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It skews everything when Westbrook has the types of game that he did last night. And by the way, but there were still moments of, what are you doing, Russ? What are you doing? There are times when he gets so reckless with the basketball. Oh, my.
Live with it.
You do. You live with the good and the bad, right? And last night, the good certainly outweighed the bad. He was good. He ended up being good in everything that they needed him to be good in. And he was a great teammate. But hey, game 5 is in the books. We view that as a pivotal game. It is pivotal, but it's only pivotal if you pivot off of it and continue to be successful. They need one win in 2 games, 96 minutes. Where are you going to find the time to play against a team that you know is going to come out with their hair on fire in game 6, game 7 if they get to it, and is going to be all that the Nuggets can handle? The Clippers have proven that. But last night was just one of those great magical nights to watch a team play at such a high level. God, what a pleasure to watch them last night.
Coming up after the break, I can't believe I'm using this phrase in April. NFL Power Rankings. NFL Power Rankings. They are out post-draft. And I must tell you, when I looked at where the NFL Network, NFL.com, had the Broncos, I did take a double take. That's next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. And don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver. Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Bronco Raptor or nearly $30,000 in cash the weekend of May 23rd. Get finalist entries from 10 a.m. until midnight during their daily cash drawings every 45 minutes or by redeeming player points. And all daily cash drawings that don't get picked are eligible for a second chance drawing on Wednesdays, and that can turn into extra cash. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Bruce, got a fun fact for you. The Nuggets, but specifically Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, made history last night. Playoff history. Do you know what type of history they made?
I'm waiting with bated breath.
The previous record was held by Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, where one guy goes for 35-plus points and the other guy gets a triple-double. The Nuggets duo has now done it 4 times. Pippen and Jordan did it 3 times. Clearly, 5 more championships are on the horizon for the Denver Nuggets. History repeats. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Nola Jane in the heart of Lodo. No one does Cajun cuisine better than Nola Jane. Go see why their award-winning menu is the best in town.
Well done, Alex. Well done. Nice. Attaboy.
NFL.com came out with its post-draft power rankings. I mean, we have to talk NFL pretty much every day of the year, don't we, Bruce?
It never leaves you wanting. I mean, there's always something to chat about. That's part of the magic of this league. They are able to command the news cycle. It's remarkable.
And it's amazing to me that every time somebody on sports talk radio or maybe a podcast, not television as much, every time we hear the word podcast we hear the word power rankings or mock draft, it's like Pavlov's dog. We're like, how can we talk about it? When can we talk about it? We got to talk about it, right?
Yes, to the point, in fact, that we were kind of, Sean Payton kind of chuckled at all of us in the press conferences. Well, I can't remember, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We had 3 of them in a row, but he was chuckling. He's about the comedic effect of looking at mock drafts, which we all need to be reminded of. Although, really, do we? I think that we know that there's really nothing about them that you really hang your hat on. What they are is just fodder for conversation. It's just kind of gives you ideas of, I hadn't thought about that person in that slot. So anyway, but I found that to be funny. He was kind of just laughing at us like, you guys.
I know it's going to seem like I'm taking a shot at him, and I'm really not. But I find it kind of ironic that a guy who is in the media is taking shots at guys in the media for doing what he would be doing himself if he was doing a sports talk radio show or a podcast. And I am guessing his own daughter does the same thing because she's in the media, where he just not took a shot at her, but took a shot at the media. We're all in the same rowboat here.
Well, he was just kind of cajoling. It wasn't it wasn't aggressive. George Payton made the comment, by the way, that we all read them. And to your point, his daughter had the Broncos taking Omari and Hampton in the first round. So, I mean, there's lots to go around for all of the mockers out there.
Okay, again, I say this jokingly. If somebody sees this show, please don't put out a clip where I'm ripping Sean Payton's daughter, and then Sean comes after me on X again. Megan, if you didn't know that your dad didn't want Omari and Hampton, who would?
Well, it shows you how close to the vest they keep everything.
Isn't that interesting?
It is. Yeah. Well, I think it's the way you got to do business, right? I think you've just got to do it that way. So,
yeah. Well, here's one way to look at it. There are 2 types of people in the NFL. One, like Sean Payton, you keep everything close to the vest.
Yep.
Very close to the vest from your own children. Then you have people, I don't know, let's just say off the top of my head, I don't know, you could be a defensive coordinator for the Falcons and you keep Rolodex open so one of your children can pop through it and get all kinds of phone numbers.
I like the fact that you and I can play the game of we're old enough to use terms like Rolodex.
Yes.
Yeah. What, like there would be some, if we are fortunate enough to have some young listeners and viewers, they would say, what in the hell is a Rolodex?
Right.
Rolodexes were the greatest things. I think I still have some of, I know you probably do. I still have a couple of Rolodexes still that every now and then I'll refer to a number that I need. I haven't put them all on my smartphone, which I'm not sure makes me any smarter.
There you go. There you go. You just got into the 21st century.
Yeah.
You didn't say your phone, you said your smartphone.
Ah, see?
Well done. You're not as old as you think you are.
Oh, I'm being dragged kicking and screaming into present day. Trust me.
Oh, I know. I'm very, very well aware. As you, I believe, did not know what 5G was, but I digress. Right?
I knew that I had it.
Right.
I couldn't tell you what it was, but I was pretty sure I had it.
Okay.
All right.
With that, NFL.com came out with its post-draft power rankings. Broncos check in at number 11. And I was like, wow, 11. Then I was like, where are they at in the AFC, according to the ranking, if they're number 11? We'll get to that in a minute. This is what was written. The addition of Coverman, Jahdae Barron, one of the better defenses, has to be scary and a scary sight for other AFC West teams. Then there's the edge menace, Savion Jones, one of my favorite picks made. Broncos coming off a division title, are coming for a division title, and they might not be that far off. RJ Harvey, not my favorite running back in the class, but I always hesitate to be too critical of picks, such as this one when it's made by Sean Payton, who has used that position as effectively as almost any offensive coach in this millennium. Same goes for Pat Bryant as a receiver. I have the Broncos right on the cusp of contender status. Are they on, in your mind, are they in contender status? There's a difference to me between playoff contender and contender status.
Yeah. So when we ask if they're in playoff if they are in contender status, we are asking the question, can they host in the NFL playoffs? Because you got to win the division, right? I mean, you got to win the division to host.
Well, I'm going to give you a little pushback on that, okay? There are plenty of wild card teams that have gone to the Super Bowl.
Right.
When I hear
I think the goal is to host. The goal is to host.
But that's not contender status to me. Maybe it's different for you. Contender status to me means you are a Super Bowl contender. Period. Not winning the division contender. You are a Super Bowl contender. I don't look at them when I read that. I don't read it as they're a team that's going to contend for the division. I look at that as they're a team that's going to contend for a Super Bowl. Maybe we'll call up the writer and get some clarification.
Well, let me just ask you this. If they contend for the division and the Chiefs are in the division, aren't they contending for a Super Bowl? Or have the Chiefs taken a stutter step back? I mean, I think that the Broncos are slightly better than they finished last season going into the next, depending on health, right? Depending on their health. And that's always the huge X factor. And you and I talk about that a ton. I think, I guess, if you're a playoff team from the year before and you are moderately better, at least on paper going in, if you have improved positions of need from the year before, it stands to reason that you're going to be a team that should be able to contend. Okay. Maybe I would go that far, but I don't think that I would probably consider the Broncos a Super Bowl contender. I need to see more, probably.
I think, honestly, because I was the one who read the article, that's how I took it.
Okay, fair enough.
That they are now on the cusp of being a Super Bowl contender. And let's call it like it is. One kind of has to go with the other, right?
Yeah.
The peanut butter needs to go with the jelly.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to be considered a Super Bowl contender if you are not considered a division contender.
No, you're absolutely right. Although, man, that's the mountain you got to get over in the West, which I think is going to be. Remember a few years ago when we started this thing and Russell Wilson was coming in and we were talking about, oh my God, the AFC West, blah, 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 blah. And then it kind of just, it was still the Chiefs or bust. But now I think we are in a situation because of the coaching, the level of coaching, the collection of talent that the coaches have. Pete Carroll to a lesser degree in Vegas, but he'll get there at some point, probably sooner rather than later. I think that we are about ready to come into the golden age of the AFC West, because I do think the Chargers are legit, the Chiefs are legit, the Broncos are legit, and I think the Raiders will at least be competitive on some level. So I really am looking forward to the way that the AFC West plays out this year. Man, I would like to think that they're a contender, that they're on the cusp of contending. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that description. The cusp of contending. Okay, I like cusp.
Yeah. I'd watch out for the Raiders in the next 2-3 years.
Yes.
Because they would get their quarterback in next year's draft.
Yep.
Which is much better and was much better than this year's draft.
Yes.
So this power ranking had the Broncos ranked 11th overall in the NFL. If you break it down by conference, in order, it was the Ravens, Chiefs, and Bills ahead of the Broncos. Do you really think the Broncos are the fourth best team in the AFC? I mean, here's the funny thing. They might be, but considering what has happened since the post-Peyton Manning era, I'm having a tough time getting that out of my mouth. But the Broncos are the fourth best team in the conference, in a conference loaded with great quarterbacks. Knowing the history, I mean, we were looking at the Broncos no more than 3 years ago, and then dating back more than a few years. Forget about being they weren't the fourth best team in the conference. They were at best the fourth worst team in the conference.
I don't know. I mean, if on one hand I'm saying that the Broncos are slightly better going in from a year ago, and they won 10 games a year ago, I've got to have them at least at 11. 11 starts to get interesting, at least in terms of how you stack up to other teams in the AFC. I think clearly Ravens, Bills are on a different level. Chiefs probably. I don't know if they're on a different level. I mean, the Broncos are what, 2-2 against them in the last 4 meetings between the teams. I think that's a divisional thing that's starting to even out a little bit. I think it's a good matchup for the Broncos playing the Chiefs, especially with the defense that they have. So maybe I wouldn't put them so far ahead, but that seems pretty reasonable to me. Who else would you put out there in front of them? I mean, Houston?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens with Houston this coming year. Let's see. Listen, the Chargers still won 11 games last year.
Yes, exactly.
And
they are smacking your division. So
Bengals will be better.
Yes.
As well. The Steelers, I think they probably take a step back.
Who is the team that all right, let's leave it at 4. Let's leave it at 4. And I think that we are hesitant to put them in 4, but just for the sake of argument or conversation, who do they have the best chance of reeling in amongst the 3 teams ahead of them? If we believe, and we'll give credit to the NFL Network, that they are the 4 team in the AFC. Who do they have the best chance to reel in of the 3 in front of them?
Oh, the Chiefs.
I think so too. I think it's clearly the Chiefs, right?
It's not
clearly the Chiefs.
I'm sure there's somebody from Chiefs Kingdom watching the podcast and saying, "Have you watched the last couple of Super Bowls and we're always in them?"
And I get it. I get it.
I understand that.
Yeah, me too.
Chris Jones and Patrick Mahomes. As far as your wide receiver core, is it great? You still have Travis Kelce, a year older. Yes, you have Andy Reid. And I don't look at the Broncos' record against the Chiefs as 2-2. One of those games was a garbage game, right? One of those games, it was the final game of the regular season where they didn't play any of their starters. Then again, and I understand it's all about making plays, you can make the case the Broncos should have won that game in Kansas City.
Kick a field goal, for God's sakes, from 38 yards out. Just kick a freaking field goal. That's all.
I at least like to have the conversation that now going into a Broncos-Chiefs game, I don't feel like I can walk away from the TV for 3 hours because I already know what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah, it's a good, like I said, it's a good matchup. And it's a good matchup for the Broncos. They've proven themselves, regardless of how you view that trash game at the end of last season, and you're absolutely right. Regardless how you view it, they have proven over the last 2 years that they can be competitive in this game, and they have been competitive in this game. They've had some success. They've been competitive. And I think that they are better suited to be even more competitive with the additions that they've made this season, particularly on defense. I mean, I don't know, Eric. That was an awfully good defense most of the time last year. Don't we think that it can be, I don't want to say considerably better, but I think that it can be certainly improved.
Yep.
And that puts them in a really good position to win some football games, especially when you're scoring 24, 25 points a game. That offense was pretty productive last year.
I'll be curious to see this, but I already think that I know the answer. We talk about Jahdae Barron being the Joker. It's unfortunate that I don't believe he has the skill set to cover Brock Bowers and Travis Kelce.
I mean, he's
going
going
safety outside nickel, but can he cover a 6'5", 250-pound steamrolling tight end? I don't know if he could consistently do that, but can do that. Pat Surtain.
Yes. Well, yeah, you've got some guys that you can do some interesting things with. I will be very interesting to talk with Vance Joseph, about your base. You're essentially playing, it's not your base, but you're playing so much nickel right now that it's almost like your base defense. But when you add another player like Barron, it almost puts you in a dime situation where you have an extra, another, because this is a guy who's a really good tackler at the line of scrimmage, and you can do things with him, or at least you could at the previous level. We'll wait and see how it plays out in the NFL. We all understand it's a different kind of challenge. But this is a guy that Steve Sarkisian and that staff down there really moved around a lot, put him in a lot of different positions, and positions that he was very successful in. So it's intriguing. And then you add Hufanga and Greenlaw to the mix. Right? And all of a sudden, you can see some possibilities. At the very least, their depth is so much better than the way it finished last season.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.